All right. It is Thursday, January 9th. Welcome back to Damon Bruce Plus. We're brought to you by Ike Sandwiches. As always, today's live stream being powered by BetUS. It is awesome having you here. Thank you so much for stopping on by. And today we're talking about bucking trends. When somebody's onto you, you got to throw them off your scent. It's very simple. We've all seen chase movies. We all know how this works. Sometimes you got to turn down a dark alley that might be a little scary just to shake everyone chasing you. And it feels like that's what the 49ers did yesterday in that press conference, which we now know how and what went down. So, as we were told, Nick Sorensen is out as defensive coordinator. They might keep him around in some capacity. We know that Schneider is out as defensive coordinator. That had to happen, should have happened months ago. That's all good news. What we now know, and we've known this for a while, that like Kyle Shanahan is one of the most studied onto coaches in the NFL. Like, people have been studying Kyle Shanahan for like 15 years now, going back to when he was the offensive coordinator of the Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel, 2014-ish Cleveland Browns, like somewhere around there. That's how long Shanahan's been calling plays, and he's been so good at it that people have been studying him. And then Shanahan, the head coach with the 49ers, is probably the most studied head coach in the league, not named Bill Belichick, over the last decade. This guy has the league onto him. And it feels like he admitted as much yesterday when he made a decision that kind of, I think, is the biggest news coming out of that press conference. Klay Kubiak is going to be the 49ers offensive coordinator. I think it's a good move. You know, when we've seen him take over some play calling duties in games this year, the 49ers offensively, again, in that Arizona game where Kubiak was calling plays, it looked like they woke up a little. It was a pretty good day of play calling. Now, obviously, he is going to be installing and working within the confines of Kyle Shanahan's system. You know, Shanahan's system is so successful in professional football that it's being copied in a lot of places. The problem is that I think everyone is on to how Shanahan sets up his plays, and they're on to his sequence of play calling. And again, when they're on your trends, you got to change your trends. I think Shanahan is a bit of a taskmaster for everyone, including himself. And when, you know, I guarantee you that Kyle Shanahan's the guy when he goes to a restaurant and he orders something that he really likes, he just keeps ordering it and ordering it and ordering it. And he'll tell himself every time he goes to that restaurant, you know, I'm going to get something different tonight. And then the moment of truth arrives, the waitress is right there asking you what you want, and you go back to old reliable because you depend on it. You know how good it is. You know that you like it. You don't want to be let down. They're on to you. You know, they might even put that order in when the bartender has your drink ready for you before you even, you know, order it. Like, that's charming and wonderful on one hand, and on the other, they're on to you, man. It's time to try something different, try something new. So I think that's what Shanahan's basically admitting. You know, he's basically admitting it is time to try something new. It's time to order a little something different. We're staying in the restaurant. I really like this restaurant, but I got to change up my order. And I'm glad that Kyle Shanahan made that admission. I think that this is exactly what needs to happen. You know, you want Kyle in the room. You don't want him out of the room. You don't want his concepts abandoned, but somebody else rolling out the concepts, somebody else stringing the plays together. I mean, how many times has Kyle run that play in the second quarter that everyone knows is the play that he's running to just set up the play in the third quarter that everybody's on top of too? Like, again, I think the league is on to Kyle. And yesterday was his admission that I think he believes that too. It was a franchise, like, kind of come to Jesus at this press conference yesterday, where they essentially, they said, you know, we got something good. We just got to do what we do well a little differently. We got to start bucking some trends. Klay Kubiak. Did I say Clint Kubiak? Klay Kubiak. Klay Kubiak is now elevated to offensive coordinator. Okay, I like it. I like it. We still know it's going to be Kyle's show and he's running it, but somebody else choosing the direction that the team's running in, I think will throw some teams off the scent. Certainly, you'd hope the coaches who were bad enough last year to also have a last place schedule. Again, the way that the schedule is going to be set up is going to really do the 49ers some favors. Not that there are any easy games in football, but there are definitely games that are more challenging than others, and the Niners will be avoiding a lot of them with next year's last place schedule. And to now have Klay Kubiak, doing things not monumentally different, but differently, that's good. Now, it seems like Robert Saleh is going to get the right of first refusal. It'll be up to him to decide whether or not he wants to be defensive coordinator, because they have basically said the job's yours if you want it. Now, if he does come back, again, I hope he comes back with different and new ideas too. And it really seemed like this franchise is at a crossroads where they know just doing it their own way isn't necessarily the best way to get it done. So I really think that yesterday's press conference was a breath of fresh air that needed to blow through Santa Clara. Some of the other things we learned at this press conference is that they are out of the Javon Hargrave business, at least certainly at this price point. If they can reach a new deal, maybe he'll be back. That never happens. I think Javon Hargrave is gone. We sort of predicted that. A lot of people have been saying Debo is hitting the bricks. He's gone. No, I've been telling you for weeks now, months now, that it's actually going to be more expensive to move on from Debo than to just keep him and play him and hopefully, again, buck the trend of him being a starting wide receiver, more of a gadget guy, more of a deployed when necessary guy. He's not really an X or a Y. And I think reimagining how he is best used is a big part of this offseason plan. But it sounds like Debo is certainly back. Trent Williams is going to be back and ready to go next season. That was expected. Like, I don't even need them to tell me that. Like, of course, Trent is going to be back. The 49ers need Trent Williams more than Trent Williams probably needs the 49ers at this point in his career. The biggest news that everyone keeps on, breathlessly waiting for is the Brock Purdy. What's it going to be? What's it going to cost news? Brock is coming back. That was very clear. That was made very, very clear that Brock Purdy is going to be back in the room. So just, if that really rubs you the wrong way, you're rooting for the wrong franchise. By the way, cheers. A little sip of the day action. Let's see how we're doing. Woo, still a little too hot. Woo, 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 woo. A little too hot for that to be sip of the day. We'll get back to that in just a little bit. But a pretty interesting day. You don't get a lot out of these press conferences. It's why I really don't go. Like, I never wanted to be a beat writer. I wanted to be a broadcaster. I don't want to be a beat writer. I don't want to be some jock sniffer chasing down these press conferences in which 80% of the information coming out of their mouth is, not exactly the center of the truth. There's a lot of bullshit that happens down there, but every now and then there is a reason to be in the room. And for those who were in the room yesterday, I think you looked at new ideas, new concepts, an admission that something needs to change without the concept of radical change coming in. And again, I know you're at kind of radical change when you're flipping coordinators and adding a coordinator that didn't even exist before, but it's still going to very much be Kyle and John's shop. I'm just happy that there's someone else deciding on, the coat of paint, on the bumper sticker that's going to go on what channel the radio is going to be on. It was time for something in this car to change as it continues to roll down the NFL highway. So good to see so many of you in here today. My goodness, I see an awful lot of familiar names. Hello to all of you. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. We got over 100 people just tuning in early to today's show. I hope there's at least 100 likes out there. That's how you support the channel. Obviously, there are memberships available. We have merch now available. I mean, I should be showing off my Damon Bruce mug. It's funny. I don't use a mug because I always say I want a cup with a lid on it but I never use the lid. I just grab the cup with the lid and then find reassurance that because it's a cup that's supposed to have a lid, it won't possibly spill. Because the reason I don't use the mug is because I'm like, oh, that could spill. Yet here I am every day using an unlidded vessel. So again, I never said this show is all the way around smart. Cooling and approaching. We're getting there. We're getting there. John Wallace says, Damon, what's going on? Good afternoon. Checking in with you from Durham, North Carolina. I'm looking for some good news, some bad news shit. But just in general, a 49ers report, brother. Well, that's what we just gave you, man. That's what we just gave you. It feels like the 49ers found a little religion. And they know that, right church, wrong pew when it comes to Kyle Shanahan. And it just needs to change up a little. You got to buck some trends. You need some new eyes on the situation. I love that there's going to be new eyes on this defense, even if they're the old eyes of Robert Saleh. That remains to be seen. I think that Kubiak being installed as offensive coordinator is just another bird to chirp in Shanahan's ear that Shanahan respects, so I like it. If you put Nick Sorensen to special teams and he's cool with that and doesn't complain, fine. Again, you can't get worse than dead last in special teams, so I'm assuming he could improve that. I'm assuming I could improve that. Question here from AFBOCC, and thank you very much for the super. When will the 49ers cut Jake Moody? And I'm guessing, here's the thing, I'm guessing they don't. Let's be honest. I'm guessing that they don't just outright cut Jake Moody because he is an asset. He was a third-round draft pick, and you don't just want to say goodbye to an asset. What I think they're going to do is let him have an offseason, and they're going to bring him into camp with a healthy kicker competition. Now, if he wins that, he's your kicker. If he doesn't win that, that's when you say goodbye to Moody. Again, saying goodbye to him before the replacement is in the building, I think is a bad idea. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Moody fold under the pressure in the uncomfortable situation that he sort of, made for himself here with the 49ers, unless the kid is mentally tougher than I assume. Maybe it really was the sprained ankle that had him missing kicks. Again, I know it's really easy to throw him right out of the moving car. I get it. But I just don't think you're going to see the 49ers do that. They're changing their behavior a little bit. I think just cutting guys willy-nilly when they're still early in their careers, it's just not how they do business. And I don't think it'll be how they do business this particular time around either. Speaking of business, I don't know what you do, where you go for lunch, but when you do go to lunch, or if you're the person who orders lunch for your office, order some Ike's. Ike sandwiches, especially if you're here in the Bay Area, all up and down California, throughout the West Coast, expanding ever eastward. Ike sandwiches are fantastic. Go and get one for yourself. Order some Ike's catering for your entire office. Before you do that, you're definitely going to want to sign up for that Ike's Love Rewards program and start earning your way towards free sandwiches. You earn one when you sign up. And by the way, you can be entered into a contest to win flight, hotel, and tickets to a very large football game that is going to be played soon in New Orleans, courtesy of our good friend Ike of Ike Sandwiches. So check all that out, my good friends. Get yourself a sandwich from Ike's. Get yourself a Dubliner Guinness. It's the best. They really do. They pour the best Guinness in there. Dubliner West Portal, that's my bar on my side of town. Muni drops you right off out front. What more could you possibly want? Go and say hello to Kenny, to John. Talk to my boys. Tell them Damon sent you. And we love our guys at the Dubliner. There's going to be some fun things to watch at the Dubliner. All these bowl games coming up. Might have to get to the Dubliner to watch a Sharks hockey game. Yes, I said Sharks hockey game. Oh, my God. We're going to have to put our eyes on something. And with the way that the Warriors are playing, we're going to need something other than just an NBA team to get us to baseball, which is coming sooner than you think, by the way. And since there is so much sports on the horizon, I want to remind you all that when you do a little wagering on sports, make sure you do it over at BetUS and use promo code YouTube150 when you sign up for 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Thanks to our good friends over at BetUS, and thanks to them for sponsoring the live stream. Thanks to all of you for watching the live stream. And let's talk about what we're all about to watch, because everyone's about to lean in hard on the NFL playoffs. And the thing that makes the NFL so successful is there's no amount of, oh, this team is in the big game, therefore I'm really not that interested. One of the canaries in the coal mine for Major League Baseball interest, and I remember reading this like 15, 20 years ago, that the closer baseball got to crowning its World Series champion, the fewer people watched. Meaning that these teams were very much more provincial than they were national brands. And, if you had a big brand like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Cubs, all right, well, there's a lot of those fans. So a lot of people would be tuning in. Some of the lowest rated World Series ever have been World Series that the San Francisco Giants have been involved in. Giants Rangers, Giants Royals, Giants Tigers. None of those World Series got good numbers. The Giants are a big historic brand, and, so are the Tigers. But huge, roaring, nationwide fan bases? Not exactly. Not for the Royals, certainly. So, the fewer teams shuffle themselves off the board, the fewer people are interested in what's left on the board in baseball. It doesn't work like that for football. There's no such thing as the Super Bowl we will not watch. The two teams were officially no interest at all in, fantasy, gambling, whatever is the reason that our sports heroin addiction begins and ends really at the sport of football. Smarter people than me will come up to the why. I just know that it is. Still, though, we all know there's no such thing as everyone is as sexy as everyone else. There has to be a sexier version of someone in the room. It's just how rooms work. There's definitely a best looking person in here, and there's definitely a worst looking person in here, and we're all going to be polite. We're not going to say their names out loud all at the same time, but this is how the world works. We know one is superior, the other's inferior, and everyone else kind of falls in between. So let's talk about this year's Super Bowl in terms of what is the sexiest matchup? What is the least sexy matchup for the NFL to offer us? By the way, we're at Sip of the Day. It's happened. It's happened, everybody. Mark Graves saying, Damon, don't go towards the light. We need you here. Are we fun? Are we lit a little weird here? I had to turn the main overhead light on. We got a light ordered on Amazon. I can't make Jeff Bezos send me my new key light faster than so I'm lit a little differently than usual. Hey, Damon, what were the ratings for this past World Series? That's a really good question. I know that they got a great Game 1 rating. I don't know about the rest of it, but I think it was good. Again, Dodgers, Ohtani, huge national brand right now. Anyways, the sexiest Super Bowl participants available, ranked in kind of an order. Are you ready? Here we go. Number one, and there's no debating this, there's no discussing this. You might be tired of it. You might be sick of her too, but it does not matter. If the NFL has its wish, the Kansas City Chiefs go to and win this year's Super Bowl. There is no doubt in my mind, and there shouldn't be any doubt in your mind either. The Kansas City Chiefs bring an awful lot of people to the party. Taylor Swift, obviously being attached to them, brings an awful lot more people in the party who were never interested in the football party before. A Chiefs three-peat and being able to sell Patrick Mahomes doing something in this league that has never happened before would be exactly what the NFL wants to sell you on Super Bowl Sunday. And whether you loved Mahomes or hated Mahomes and the Chiefs, you would be 100% committed into finding out what happens with this SOB today. Does he really have the one notch that Montana, not Young, not Elway, not any one of them? You know, no matter who has ever won a Super Bowl, no one has ever won 3 in a row. And if Mahomes can lord that over the rest of everyone, Tom Brady, the argument he's the best quarterback of all time is more digestible than should he not do that. So, you know, right now it's still Tom Brady, and then, you know, we can argue, but Mahomes is not too far away from Brady. If he becomes the first quarterback to ever win 3 of these fucking things in a row, how are you going to deny him his place on the all-time conversation? So Chiefs winning it all is the most preferred Super Bowl. Opponent be damned. Does not matter. Does not matter who their opponent even is. Chiefs in the big game would be a monster. Number 2, give me the biggest losers Super Bowl. Give me the biggest losers Super Bowl. Give me Lions versus Bills. Waking up on Super Bowl Sunday, just knowing that by the time we go to bed tonight, one of the 2 most longest suffering fan bases in the world of sports will have been crowned a champion. I mean, that would be incredible. That would be incredible. Lions or Bills, either way, the Super Bowl would sell like hotcakes. We love long-suffering, loyal fan bases. We love them. We absolutely adore them. So that would be a huge Super Bowl if you gave us a lovable loser Super Bowl, Lions versus Bills. By the way, the Vikings also apply to this formula. So I kind of put the Vikings in here as an addendum, but the Vikings, God bless them, you know, they're such a well-run operation that they're not cast in the light of total losers who have never won it all. They're not. They're not. The Vikings have always represented themselves with some modicum of respect. And as a facility and as a franchise and as a stadium, you know, everybody wants to be a Minnesota Viking in terms of the respect that players around the league have for that franchise. So even though the Vikings have still never won a Super Bowl, they're not in that Bills, Lions, Jets, forever losers category. By the way, the Jets with their 1 Super Bowl win are still forever losers, so it doesn't help them. But it is, you know, interesting to note that the Vikings could apply for the galactically loser Super Bowl, but they're just not galactic losers. You can tell that sip of the day was banging because I keep on going back now. It's really good. Number three, storyline to sell. Lamar Jackson finally putting a postseason together where he officially, now with a Super Bowl championship, enters the conversation of greatest of his generation. Lamar has done so many things statistically that if you want to go down the rabbit hole of how good is Lamar, he's better than you think. Even if you think he's great, he is better than you think. Lamar's numbers are eye-popping. He does shit that nobody else has ever done in this league at quarterback, but it fails him in the postseason. If he could put a postseason together where it doesn't fail him and he can be Lamar Jackson, I'm the most dangerous man on this football field, Lamar, in the postseason as well, that would be, I think, very easy to sell. He's wildly popular. You're reigning MVP. I think that would be a huge story to sell. And again, the Ravens are one of those teams, and I might not be speaking for 49ers fans. The Baltimore Ravens have a level of just, I think everyone in football respects them. Does anyone really hate the Ravens? I don't hate the Ravens. I respect the Ravens. They're like a well-run, good team. I mean, yeah, I look at the Ravens and I go, good job. I mean, they're pretty damn good. At number 4, now we're going to inject some drama because let's get a little drama in here. Number 4, Give me the Harbaugh Chargers making a Super Bowl run. Let's get Mr. Crazy right back in the center of that spotlight. Jim Harbaugh making another Super Bowl run. The NFL loves football crazy, and Jim Harbaugh is a football crazy show unto himself. That would be interesting. The Chargers in a Super Bowl, that would be interesting. By the way, another have never won a Super Bowl franchise, right? That would be interesting. Still not really viewed as the galactic losers anymore. There's a modicum of sympathy that, the move from San Diego got attached to that franchise. And Harbaugh is easy to root against. He's easy to root for. If the Chargers wore their powder blues in the Super Bowl, that would be sexy. So I think that would be big. At number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. You got some insane fans. You got team drama. You got internal strife. You got Dom the security guard. You got Saquon Barkley's revenge tour. You got the Eagles fans they're freaking everywhere, man. They really are. An Eagles fan. You know an Eagles fan. They're freaking everywhere. So that would be interesting. At number 6, again, we're getting out of the less people root for. I think the Packers have more people root against them than for them. No one's denying how big of a brand the Packers are. But I think part of the reason why the Packers are such a big brand is they have, 1, a great fan base, 2, an awful lot of history, and 3, they've just been kicking ass so much in their own division lately that everybody thinks they're the Packers. Like, everybody thinks the Packers are their rival. Like, the Bears definitely are the Bears' rival, but the Vikings think that they're the Packers' rival. The Detroit Lions think that they're the Packers' rival. The New York Giants think that they're the Packers' rival. There's a lot of people who think that, we're the Packers' rival. And it's more than just the Bears, but it's mostly the Bears. Anyways, I think Rams and Packers, now we're getting into less interesting. Like, you're not necessarily a fan, but people like rooting against those teams. I don't think that there's a lot of tell me more about Sean McVay or LaFleur to really sell. That's just a Super Bowl you're going to watch. The Steelers coming in at number 7. Steelers. And by the way, I know that the Rams and Packers can't be in the same Super Bowl. The Steelers, when they're a big deal, when they're right, they're a really big deal. You want to talk about lots of fans, Steelers fans, there's lots of them. They're getting older. There's no doubt about that. The 70s steel curtain Steelers fans are aging out. But this isn't the year, and there's really nothing sexy about them. And I don't know if Pittsburgh is going to sell quite like it used to. So that's really not going to work. Number 8 would be a very interesting experiment just to see the roar again. You got to be around my age to remember when a team that used to be known as the Washington Redskins was one of the biggest deals in the NFL, and they fell on such a bad, hard 30 years that everyone forgot. The Commanders would capture our imagination with a rookie quarterback, and they would capture our imagination faster than the other team that's offering us a rookie quarterback in this postseason, and that's Bo Nix. Because if we're honest, we've got 3 playoff teams remaining, and I hate to do it to you because obviously if you're a fan of one of these teams, you don't want to hear them last. But the truth is, when it comes to national brands, the Texans, the Buccaneers, and the Broncos, no one really cares. No one really cares. Now, if you're a fan, of course you care. But if you didn't live in Houston and you didn't live in Denver and you didn't live in Tampa Bay, you really don't give a shit about these teams. They're just the teams that are, the other teams that are on the schedule that aren't necessarily the big teams that are coming in that are on the schedule. No one, nowhere is like, oh man, the Broncos are coming to town. Save your money. That's going to be the most expensive ticket of the year. That sentence has never been said out loud. So there you go. There's your Super Bowl sexiness. Chiefs number one with a bullet. Then give me your biggest loser Super Bowl. Then give me individual stories to tell. Give me an individual story about Lamar or Harbaugh or just Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. Then after that, you're getting into some, teamy type of teams, Rams, Packers, Steelers, Commanders. All right. Okay. Some really good fans there, but, it's not quite what they used to be, fellas. Texans, Bucks, Broncos. All right. I mean, either way, we're watching. Doesn't matter what combination of teams shows up. But if the NFL is going to be rigging games, we will definitely see the Chiefs three-peating. By the way, Smiley Dan says the Texans getting that Saturday 3:30 Eastern kickoff is kind of crazy, but they aren't a huge draw. Seriously, I don't think the Texans have it in their team charter that they're allowed to play a playoff game unless it's a Saturday 3:30 wildcard weekend. I'm pretty convinced that the Texans could be the 1 seed and earn the bye, yet still somehow be forced to play in the first Saturday afternoon window of wildcard weekend. And they'll be like, look, we're the 1 seed. We don't even have to play this week. And the NFL would be like, yeah, you do. You're the Texans. This is when you play. We all know it. Just get out there. Bills and Lions all day. Jacob saying, look, man, I'll be good as long as the Chiefs don't win. The Houston Texans make it to the Super Bowl. What will it take to make Greenlaw leave? What will that make Greenlaw leave? Hold on, wait, Steve, what are you talking about? Dre Greenlaw? Is he going to go to the Houston Texans? I don't. What, he wants to be with D'Amico? Look, I don't think Dre Greenlaw is going anywhere. I don't care what his wife and his girlfriend or whatever Instagramming or tweeting about. I'm not here for the girlfriend said. The wife said. Damon, when are you ordering your Macklin Celebrini jersey? I'm still waiting on my Donskoy jersey to come through. Donskoy! Rockin' New Era saying Chiefs fatigue. It's real, but so is their popularity. That's also real. So I know you're a little tired of them, but look, watching the same team in the Super Bowl over and over again, you've been conditioned for that in your lifetime. You went through the Patriots era. Craig is saying the Lions are not going to the Super Bowl. Look, Craig, I'm not saying anything definitively about the Lions. I thought that they were going to cash their chips in and leave the casino with all these injuries piling up too, but it hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. We got Clarence Beeks, who's been a member for 9 months. I mean, that's how you support the channel. Thank you very much, Clarence, for being a member of the initiated. Well, it's a stress-free postseason for Niner Empire. Drink up, boys. Yeah, and drink it up at the Dubliner and West Portal. Drink it up at the Dubliner and West Portal. Yeah, but it's you're not going to have that playoff stress. Donskoy, a scar. Yeah. Thank you very much. Steve is saying, yep, rumors are Dre Greenlaw just bought a house in Texas in order for him to play in Houston. All right, I wouldn't like that. But there's a lot of guys who live in Texas in the offseason because it's a tax-free state. So don't go reading too much into it. Joe Schmo saying, waiting for the 69-month members. Joe, I mean, we're just going to have to keep going. We'll get there eventually. JJ Rader says, ask Brody Brazil about getting a Sharks jersey. That's right. Brody got a gig now with the Sharks. Maybe he can go in the equipment room and pinch me one soon. SG Sports Talk. Hello to you. Again, great to see all you in here. It really is. Let's talk about what's on your television tonight. Unless, of course, you're just going to go home and, rewatch Plus videos. Do it. Hey, go ahead. Get deep into my shorts. Watch all of them 5, 6, 7 times. Bump that algorithm, baby. It's up to you to help this channel grow. Hit like and subscribe. On your TV tonight, the Golden State Warriors are going to be losing at the Detroit Pistons. I say that with an awful lot of confidence. Tip-offs at 4. Detroit's won 5 in a row. Detroit, pretty damn good lately. They've won 8 of their last 9, and I do think that they'll beat the Warriors tonight unless, Curry goes for 60. Cade Cunningham is 100% the best young player in the NBA that doesn't get an awful lot of buzz. Cade Cunningham is having a monster year. Like, this guy is rolling out, 24, 6, and 9 a night. He is 24 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists a night. Cade Cunningham is a badass. He is playing fantastic basketball, and Detroit is really responding around him. The Warriors have been a stumbling mess for like 3 weeks, a month now, and they've got a 4-game winning trip. Detroit, Indiana, Toronto, Minnesota. That is a 4-game winning trip that if you could right now walk up to sell Steve Kerr 2-2, he would buy it. The Warriors got 1-3, 0-4 on this road trip written all over them, especially if Kuminga's not a part of it. So good luck with that, Golden State Warriors. This could be a week of reckoning for the Golden State Warriors. It's already been a difficult handful of weeks. This road trip, if it goes 0-4, that's going to be like lightning hitting the franchise. And there's always the question, because we got Detroit, Indiana as the back-to-back, what's Curry going to do? Are Pacers fans going to get screwed out of Steph Curry again? The Pacers always seem to be the second game of a Warriors road trip Midwest back-to-back, and Curry usually gets rested in Indiana. There are so many basketball fans in Indiana dying to see Steph Curry play. I wish that if the Warriors are hesitant about playing Steph in back-to-backs, sit him tonight. Play him in Indiana. Like, just do it for those Pacers fans. Feels like Steph is always sitting out games in Indiana. And Indiana did something so special this week that they deserve to be rewarded, and we'll get there in just a second. What happened at Gainbridge Fieldhouse just last night is one of my favorite stupid sports records ever, and I'll share it with you here in just a moment. But I told you about the On Your TV tonight. Got ourselves an Orange Bowl tonight. 4:30 West Coast kickoff between Penn State and Notre Dame. Let's go Nittany Lions. Let's go Nittany Lions. Although it would be kind of cool to see the only 2 teams that beat Indiana during the regular season, Notre Dame and Ohio State, meet in the national championship. How would Indiana's strength of schedule be there too? We only lost 2 games all year, and the teams both reached the college playoff finals. That would be pretty neat. But I'm going to root for Penn State here. Indiana's old defensive coordinator, or head coach, is Penn State's defensive coordinator, Tom Allen. Tom Allen was a nice guy. He was a bad head coach. He's a good person. I'll root for Tom Allen, even if it means I'm rooting for Penn State. Got to root Big Ten. And since Notre Dame is stupid and never joined the Big Ten, I'm rooting for Penn State. College football's Final Four will continue on Friday with Ohio State and Texas. So that's happening. I do know this, that we're watching some games in Los Angeles because of the fires and the devastation down in the city of Los Angeles be canceled. I think USC had a game canceled. I think the Kings got off of the ice to cancel a game. I think the Lakers got a Friday night game that's about to be postponed. Clippers maybe tonight. There's postponements around all professional sports. And the question is, what is going to happen? Because the Rams are supposed to host the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell has basically said, hey, we're praying for everybody in Southern California. Kevin O'Connell's from Southern California, but he's got the right attitude. He's just saying that, wherever the plane lands, we're going to get off it, go to a stadium, and play the Rams. There's talk that the NFL will move the game the Rams are hosting wildcard weekend with the Vikings to Arizona because Southern California right now just cannot handle something else going on in the city. So make the right moves with the city of Los Angeles and all the firefighters and police involved and all the first responders doing what they need around this fire. Obviously, football matters not compared to what's happening to so many people's lives and homes. I mean, we're talking about neighborhoods. Oh, I mean, the insurance The insurance on it all. I mean, you got neighborhoods of every home is $20 million and all neighborhoods are gone. Like Malibu doesn't even exist right now. Stretches of it anyways. You know, when we say eat the rich, we don't mean like this. It's very sad. Very, very sad. The pictures of what's going on in LA are just, it's the worst. Tomorrow night, Sharks at Utah Hockey Club. Go Sharks. Hey, look, they're 13, 24, and 6. I'm going to start watching some Sharks hockey. I'm going to get in while the bandwagon is vacant. It's going to be me, Macklin Celebrini, my buddy AJ Strong, a couple of other Sharks fans, Brody Brazil, Ralph Barbieri's Ghost. Go Sharks. Yeah, fuck it. I'll watch some hockey. That's tomorrow night. Chef A, by the way, just saw this. Chef A saying, Damon, did you see that Steve Kerr's childhood home in the Palisades burned down? I did see that. That's sad, man. I mean, losing a home, everything that is in it, that's just, it's sad. By the way, these people out here just trying to blame, like how can she and her fire hydrants have no water? Terrible management. There's been a drought for several years. This is, there are things going on that aren't just the black lady who's the mayor's fault happening. I know it's easy to look for somebody to blame when things are going wrong, but there's an awful lot of Mother Nature happening out there too. Santa Ana winds blowing 90 miles an hour is more of a problem that is impossible to pin on anybody that is affecting this fire than anything else. But if there's one thing I know is that there will never be a tragedy that isn't exploited politically somehow. So why should this be any different? Is the system perfect? Hell no. But raging forest fire with winds that you've never even seen before, hard to plan for that. Hard to prevent that from happening. All right, let's lighten the mood a little. Like I said, the Warriors are heading to Indiana to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where last night one of the single most random, dumbest records, I don't even know if it's a record or not, but it's one of those sports stupid factoids that I absolutely love whenever I get to see it. Real quick, what is the combined total of the lowest combined total of jersey numbers that could be on an NBA court at the same time? Just real quick. The lowest combined totals. Do you have your answer? Do you have your answer? Is your answer 4? 4 is the lowest combined jersey total possible on an NBA basketball court. One guy's wearing number 1, one guy's wearing number 2, the third guy's wearing number 3, and the other guys are married to the zeros. You got one guy rocking a 0 and the other rocking double bullets. And last night, folks, it happened. Look at that Pacers lineup. Double bullets. Halliburton's wearing 0. Toppin wears 1. Nembhard wears 2. Bryant wears 3. There you go. A grand total, jersey total of, what did I say, 4? I meant 6. Sorry, 6. 6 is the lowest total. 1, 2, 3. There you go. It's 6. I shouldn't have said 4. Of course, I got my own answer wrong. How great is that? How stupid is that? Double zeros, 0, 1, 2, 3. I don't know why stupid things like that in sports make me happy. Damon, I'm waiting for a 000 jersey. Yeah, we're not getting 000s. Not getting 000s. Look at that. I feel terrible. I got my own punchline wrong. 4. No, it's 6, Damon. Do the math. All right. There we go. That is pretty much all we have for you here on today's show, other than a little today in history. And I tell you, it's an interesting day in history. Are you ready? Let's go. Today in history. Happy birthday to one of my favorite actors, J.K. Simmons. Turns 70 today. First time I ever saw him was on HBO's Oz. Now he does those "We Are Farmers" dun, 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 commercials. I'm guessing he makes a boatload of money for doing that. He is always good in every movie he is in. Whiplash, where he plays the insane drumming instructor, that's really good. I think he won an Oscar for that. He's just a great actor. Everything he's good, even if he's in the movie for just a little bit, making a cameo. It's always a great cameo. Speaking of birthdays, happy 237th birthday to the state of Connecticut. Connecticut became our 5th ever state today in 1788. We'll stay in the 1700s for our next Today in History. 1793, guy named Jean-Pierre Blanchard made the first successful balloon flight in the United States. He flew in a balloon from Philadelphia to Woodbury, New Jersey. And because of that, this being the first ever balloon flight back in the 1700s, today also happens to be National Balloon Ascension Day across America. So if, you're the type of person who dabbles in some weekend ballooning, you might have taken today off of work because it's a big balloon day around the country. National Balloon Ascension Day. Cheers. Could I get into ballooning? We don't look at it this way. At this point in time in my career, we ain't got ballooning money. We don't have extra cash around for ballooning, hot air ballooning. I'm guessing the balloon itself is a good cost than the actual apparatus that like heats the balloon. That's just a flame. That can't be that expensive. The big wicker basket, you're going to want a nice wicker basket that you stand in under the balloon. You don't want to go cheap on the wicker basket. That's got to be expensive. I don't know. What do you think the ballpark figure is for buying a hot air balloon, maintaining, storing, flying, piloting? Do I need a ballooning license? Or is it just simply pull this to go up and eventually you do come down, hopefully gently? I don't know. There's a lot about ballooning I've never even considered. I really, there's a lot going on in the ballooning world I've never even considered. What about balloon Uber? Uber balloon? I'd be interested in Uber balloon. What about like Uber a driverless balloon? Would you trust a driverless balloon? I still haven't gotten in one of those driverless cars. Jillian did. Jillian took a driverless car somewhere a couple of weeks ago. Said it was, as soon as you touch the button saying go, at about 30 seconds into it, you just kind of sit back and relax and you wait till you get to where you're going. It's no big deal. I still don't trust it. I still don't. I want to drive, even though I know that my odds of this driver crashing are probably greater than the stupid robot car. There's a part of me that just doesn't trust robot car. Not yet. I'm not down for robot ballooning. Balloon to work. Public service announcement, don't be the release balloons into the air guy. Don't be that guy. Yeah, you just don't want to be casually releasing balloons. Erwin saying Waymo works pretty well. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name of it. It is Waymo. And maybe in the comment of the day, certainly of the show, 49ers Red Zone wants you all to know that blimping ain't easy. Blimp on. Robocar. Yeah. The problem with ballooning is the steering. Never trust anything that could land you in Oz. This is good advice, Sporticus. It really is. Really is. Christopher saying Waymo's got to be safer than having your wife drive. Jillian isn't a bad driver. She's a terrible parker. She hits things when she parks, not when she's driving. She is the curb scrapingest gal in San Francisco. She will scrape our door against, stationary poles that she didn't turn around. I think it's because she used to drive a Mini and now we drive like a big Kia family thing. And she's not used to having a long car, which is funny because she's like year 5 into this long car. But yeah, I don't really worry about Jillian driving. It's Jillian parking that scares me. By the way, Joe Rogan predicted this 6 months ago. Also, California. Look at it this way. Joe Rogan's such a conspiracy theorist that he says so much that anything that he said could happen 6 months from now. Again, I'm just not here for, it's the mayor's fault this forest fire is happening. All right. Yeah, okay. So if we want to blame nothing but Los Angeles Democrats on all this, at what point in time do we get back to the notion of, there's a certain party out there that just said climate change isn't real no matter how much evidence that all scientists present? Then I would say that there is substantial evidence to suggest there is a change in the way things happen in nature right now. So, what I'm tired of is the blame game. Here's the thing. I'm pretty sure that both sides are full of fucking assholes at this point in time. I really am. That both sides are full of incompetent, know-nothing, bureaucratic assholes who lost the sight of what really matters. There is an awful lot of that. Removing all the leaves that might burn in a forest is also like a really big job and hard to do all at the same time. So I think there's a lot of things that need to be acknowledged here. There's a lot that needs to be acknowledged going on. How about all these insurance companies not letting you even buy homeowners insurance around fires anymore? That's insane. If that isn't a fucking scam, what is? Okay, where are we? So we did the ballooning. Happy National Balloon Ascension Day. Even more interesting. And this, by the way, this is going to absolutely get the chat flying. Are you ready? Are you ready? Today in 1951, a movie named Life After Tomorrow became the first film to ever receive an X rating. The first X-rated film was given its X rating today. It premiered in London in 1951, but boy, X rating used to mean something different than what it means right now. Back then, X from 1951 through 1970 only meant that you couldn't go if you were under 16. Wasn't even 18. 16 was the number. So there you go. X rating that we know is much different than as it was initially rolled out. But the first ever X-rated film called Life After Tomorrow. It's in 1951. Today in 1956, a woman named Abigail Van Buren, her column first appeared in nationwide newspaper syndication, and she would go on to become one of the single most trusted people in the history of America. Everyone went to Dear Abby for their advice. Dear Abby, Abigail Van Buren's Dear Abby column appeared in a newspaper syndicated for the first time in 1956. Tomorrow's show, I'll tell you what newspapers were. Today in 1984, the Wendy's Where's the Beef commercial debuted and happened. Where's the beef? It would be impossible to explain to a grown-up here in 2024 how popular Where's the Beef was as a commercial in 1984. Like, I honestly don't even know if Wendy's exists still as a restaurant had the Where's the Beef commercial campaign not so thoroughly ingrained Wendy's in the, American zeitgeist that there you go. Where's the beef? How about that? Finally, something else that is sort of become ingrained in American life and really all of our lives to the betterment in many ways and detriment in many other ways. Today in 2001, Apple introduced iTunes, a digital media player application that with the year they debuted the iPod. And then on the same day as today in 2007, we would get the iPhone. It's safe to say that the iPhone, the iPod, and iTunes have changed us as a society, as a culture, as much as anything. You know, when we talk about moments in time that separate how time used to function to how time does function, you know, the advent of the wheel, the printing press, the advent of industrial farm equipment, the advent of television, the advent of radio, the advent of satellite communication, the advent of the internet, and the advent of the iPhone are seminal points in time where the world used to walk in one direction and now walk in a completely different direction. So there you go. I don't know if the world got better or worse, but in 2001, we got iTunes. A year later, we get the iPod, and then in 2007, 6 years after iTunes, we would get the iPhone. And that's the biggest game changer probably in technological history that wasn't the telephone itself. The wire, the telegraph, the whatever, Pony Express. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine we still lived in that world where I need to get you a note? I need to write something down and I need you and only you to see this. So I need to write it down. Then I need to get a dude on a horse to show up to my house, hand him the letter, and then he Pony Expresses it to you on the other side of town. Did you ever see that movie about bike messengers with Kevin Bacon called Quicksilver? I think that took place in San Francisco. Lawrence Fishburne was like the rival bike messenger. I remember when I first moved to San Francisco, you'd have all these bike messengers who thought that they were the badass kings of the city, like hanging out down around BART stations, like the Powell BART station. Like all these bike messengers wearing their cuffed sweatpants, thinking that they were like the lords of San Francisco. It's you don't want your son to be a bike messenger at any point in time. Not anymore, anyways. Just a shout out for Uncle Boy's Lumpia. Absolutely, Irwin. Oh, you're talking about seminal moments that changed American history? Joseph, BP, AP. Before iPhone, after iPhone. Yeah, it's the world has changed in that moment. Oh, dude, the Zeitgeist bike messenger days, Smiley Dan. Dude, Zeitgeist. I've told this story on the radio. My buddy Ryan Busey and I, we always wanted to get each other Hot Wheels for like Christmas, and then roll into Zeitgeist like a couple of bike messengers. But instead of we'd walk over to that bike rack, and instead of hanging up like BMX 10 speeds, we'd hang up our Hot Wheels, and then treat everyone really shitty around us like we were somehow cooler because we were bike messengers. So there you go. That is it. I want to thank you so very, very much for tuning in today. Again, if you're tuning in from Southern California, stay safe. I mean, I think everybody in California knows someone who has been affected by this. Hopefully not to the point where their home burnt down, but had to move, get out of an evacuation area. I mean, we got people in our family who had to evacuate and move on. I was asking my buddy Sam Batesh, you and your family okay? I'm calling my friends down in Southern California, you okay down in LA? And a lot of them are, but a lot of them are scared too. This is a raging fire and it continues to spread in many, many directions. These Santa Ana winds are not going to let it slow down anytime soon. So, cancel and postpone all the sports that need be to help Los Angeles allocate all of its resources in the right directions. But I thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit like and subscribe on your way out. Once again, to all of you in the chat, to all of my sponsors, thank you so very, very much for sponsoring the show. To my friends at BetUS, thank you so very, very much. Use promo code YouTube150 for 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. My boys at the Dubliner, man, we got to come over and start watching some Warriors games, some Sharks hockey, get another Plus Mania to you real soon, Dubliner. Absolutely. My man Ike's got a great sandwich for you. Again, if you're ordering just something for you, if you're ordering something using Ike's Catering for the office, you are going to be the most beloved person in your office when that Ike's gets delivered. Trust me. Thank you so very much for hanging out and watching today. And please do remember that sports don't build character. They reveal it. And like that, he's gone.